All right. How are we doing, Internet? Jason Wilma here. What I want to do is I want to go live, and today, what I want to talk about is this iOS 14 update. So what I want to do is give you a little bit of context behind the marketer's doom of iOS 14. And after that, I think what we can do is get into a few specifics. So, hey guys, I see that people are watching already. Some of you, I can't tell who you are though, because I'm using Restream. So give me a heads up on who you are in the comments, and then I can, I need to just get better, or I don't know if this the software, but anyways, okay. So what I want to do is start off with the story about why tracking is so important. And then we're going to get into kind of how we're going to navigate all of these updates to iOS. So I think this is like, I kind of relate this, when COVID came out roughly a year ago, I don't know. Everybody, whenever you hopped on a business call, you would always start kind of talking about, well, what do you think about COVID or anything like this? But, and I kind of equate that to what's going on now in marketing, specifically around this iOS 14 update. So if you talk to other marketers, like, hey, what do you think about this this iOS update? And so what I want to do is kind of talk about three core things today. This one, we're going to talk about UTM tracking. We're going to talk about pixels, and then we're going to talk about this aggravated measurement that Facebook has provided us. That hasn't quite started yet, but we'll get into it. So I know most of the folks that watch this after the fact. So if you have, if you have questions, go ahead and leave them in the comments. I can address them now, or I can follow up and make a different video on the other side of this. So what I want to do is I want to make sure that I've got my Facebook page pulled up here, so I can see the comments, because I'm using Restream and I can't always see who's saying what. I think specifically when somebody actually joins from a group, that's the problem, or chats from a group. So I think that is the issue. All right, and then we're gonna get rolling here. So the story that I wanted to start off with is relating to why tracking is so important. And the reason why tracking is so important is because if you can't measure growth, then you don't know what's working and what's not. So let me kind of back up there. So when we're talking about growth, what we want to be able to do is we want to be able to measure what is actually moving the needle. So if you have a business and you are driving traffic to your business, right, through whatever means, you want to be able to track that. So like, okay, I'm spending my time, my money, and my energy in this place or in this place. And so what you want to do is you want to have different, tracking systems in order to understand where your growth is coming from. And so this summer, I was actually tasked with studying, and I've told the story before. Maybe you've caught it, maybe you haven't. But this project that I got to work on was one of my favorite projects of all time. It involved this artist. He was recently performing in the Super Bowl. And this was a joint venture between basically a social media platform known for its dancing, this artist, as well as the startup. And so what we were doing is we were driving in this traffic from a funnel. And over the course of, I want to say 3 days, we pretty much had over the course of 3 days, we had roughly 100,000 opt-ins from this campaign. So a lot of it was organic, because the artist would drive in traffic with tweets or with an Instagram post. And what we did is we provided him with the specific links so that we knew what was coming. So if the clicks were coming in from Instagram, they were coming in from Twitter, we were able to associate with that with the conversion. Now, I don't know who is particularly interested in conversions and all this other stuff, but when you're dealing with online marketing, conversions are the end goal. So if you have a website, if you have a store, if you're actively trying to drive people to your website, what you need at the bottom of that funnel, like the little check on my screen, right? That indicates a conversion, somebody taking action. And the action that you're trying to get them to take is normally around how to grow your business. So if it's, e-commerce, you want them to buy. If you're a service-based business, you want them to book a demo or reach out, book a phone call, that sort of play. So we were driving in a lot of different traffic. We had paid traffic as well as organic traffic as well as partner traffic, and we're just trying to drive all of this in. Like the social media company had their own link, the artists had their own links, and the fun part about this, and I say fun because like I nerd out on this stuff, mostly because I've made a living from doing this, is you get to see what is actually working in real time. That's the coolest thing. So basically, we had an opt-in, and all it was is a simple landing page, and it was give us your email, and you'll be notified of the here's the link, here's the next steps. Like it's pretty easy landing page experience. And so the artist tweeted and he put out his Instagram post, and we drove in traffic through paid advertisement. Now I wasn't in charge of the paid media, but I was kind of the in between. Like I was kind of the tracking architect in this, where the social media team would have different links, the other artists would have different links, and the paid traffic would all have links. But what's really fun about a project like this, when you have massive traffic, and I'm talking, hey guys, thank you for the comments. I appreciate that. When you're talking about like really driving in heavy amounts of traffic, and like I said, we had 100,000 opt-ins in like the like 72 hours. It was insane. Biggest project that I've ever worked on. But when you're actually inside the analytics, you can literally see this in real time of where these people are coming from. Was it from the artist tweet? Was it from Instagram? Was it from the paid media? And the cool part about the paid media was this. We had several different campaigns, and those campaigns, when you use UTM tracking, we're going to talk about UTM tracking here in a second. When you use UTM tracking, what you're able to do is you're actually able to identify which click is leading to the conversion. So what was really fun is like during this time, we could see which audiences were actually converting, and I could go back to the buyers, the media buying team, and be like, hey, this is converting at this percentage, and this other campaign is converting at this. Why don't we allocate more budget here? And that's the fun of tracking, right? Now, tracking, when we're talking about tracking, I think there's kind of a misnomer of what tracking is. There is like this cookie tracking where, some social media companies are listening to whatever you're doing and saying and all this other stuff. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is link tracking. So basically, if you have a website and you're sending people in with URL clicks, right? If you've got a link, and this can be organic, this can be paid, this can be, is there anything else? Referrals, like you can actually attach strings of characters to those links so that you actually know where these people are actually coming from, the source, the medium, like which campaign, which ad set, which ad, which split test, all of that information. So it just gives you this real-time data of what is working and what is not. And so that's the real power behind this thing, that when I'm talking about tracking. Like if you want to grow, whether it's your business, whether you run an agency, whether you have an e-com store, I don't know what it is. But if you want to grow, you have to master this thing called tracking. And all of this is changing. And it started changing a couple weeks ago, and it's going to continue to change. Because where a lot of people get into social media marketing is in Facebook ads. And I would preach get into Facebook ads immediately. Like Facebook is an incredible way to market your business. Or if you have an offer, you can market that as well. Like whatever. Facebook is a really good spot to start because you can both run ads on Facebook and Instagram. And the beautiful part about Facebook is they have this really cool thing called a pixel. And this pixel is something that sits on your website. It kind of listens to the actions that people take. So if they, visit a specific page, if they spend more time on your website than somebody else, if they watch so much of a video, if they click on a specific button, you can kind of program this pixel to listen to that. And the beauty about this is, if you have this conversion, like on my screen, there's that little check. That means somebody came into my funnel and they performed the action, right? But let's say they didn't get all the way down there. Let's say that they checked out the offer and then they bounced. Well, what a pixel enables you to do when you start using logic is you can say like, hey, I want to target the people who performed this action but did not perform this other action. And all of a sudden, you have this magical instrument that like you can then program to put ads directly in front of those people who, you want to target. And that's the best part about internet marketing in my opinion, like radio or billboards or all this other stuff. Like, yeah, that's good for impressions and you're getting this out there, but you can't like create a machine to work on your behalf. Like if you click on my link in the description, like you are going to see my ads everywhere. You're going to see it like literally everywhere. Not literally. Don't say literally, Jason. But you're going to see it on YouTube and Google Display and your browsers and Instagram and Facebook and Twitter. You're probably not going to see it on LinkedIn, but you're going to see it in a lot of spots. And the reason why marketers do this is because they understand this golden piece that you have to understand when you're talking about golden marketing. When you're talking about internet marketing, the golden nugget of internet marketing is intent. So if you can find people with intent, then you can put your message in front of them. And the people who have intent, who display intent, but for some reason they don't convert, that is like the best pocket to put ads in front of. So whether you're a business and you have a service offering, like, if people come to your website and they're interested in your offer, they select like, hey, I want to book a demo, or I want to reach out or do something, but they actually don't hit that conversion. They don't hit that. You can have a magical little device that throws ads in front of them, and only them, because they are the most likely to convert. Now, you can't only rely on retargeting. I'm a big fan of retargeting because basically it's a machine that works for you. However, you have to still continue to drive traffic in. And driving traffic in is going to be more and more important now, because you're not going to actually have a lot of this pixeled data moving forward. So this whole iOS 14 thing, and drop a comment if you want. And by the way, I'm going to say this right now. By no means am I claiming to be an expert here. Okay. But I do want to stay on top of this, and I want to be better than anybody at this, because that is who I am. That's what I do. That's what I like teach. That's how I want to help my students. That's how I want to help my partners. You can't rest on your laurels and win in this game. So you have to be actively trying to like figure this out. So that stated, I don't know what I'm talking about, but I think I'm figuring out a few things. So basically, up until now, if you had an iOS device, you were automatically opted into cookies. Now, cookies are little magical robots on the internet that make your internet experience better. They remember what you look at. They help you log in faster. They remember things for you. And they just help you. However, there are third parties on the end of those cookies, and some third parties use your data to sell you things, right? And I'm not saying this is good or bad. I'm just saying this is what it is. And people, whether you like that or not, people are suspicious of third parties, and I think that's fair. Cookies are not bad. They're not good. They're not bad. They're software. They're robots. So it depends on who is actually, taking that data from you. So now, though, with this iOS 14 update, you are now by default opted out. You have to willingly opt into cookies. And so that is why these marketers are freaking out. And like, that's fine. I understand it. I totally get it. If you're not freaking out, then you don't understand the magnitude of what is happening. But why I started off with this story about talking about this the Super Bowl artist that I ran a funnel for is we didn't necessarily have to rely on cookies. We didn't have to rely on pixels to understand what was going on. So there's different ways of understanding link tracking. You don't have to rely upon your pixel. Now, pixels are fantastic. Like, they are what make retargeting work. They're what make lookalike audiences work. But I want you to understand that there's other ways that you don't necessarily have to fear what's going on. You just have to level up your own game in order to kind of make this adjustment. So the three things that I really want to talk about today are: one, I want to talk about UTM tracking. We'll talk about that in a second. Two, we're going to talk about retargeting pixels, and yes, this will still work. And then last, this is kind of the new thing, this aggregated events measurement. Now, if you're listening to me, and I still see people have been listening to me this whole time, like, this is nerd level, right? But I tell you what, nerd level equals money if you're a business. If you know how to nerd out online, if you know how to connect clicks to customers, then this is going to win, right? There's a lot of marketers out there who literally don't even know that iOS 14 is doing this. And if you look at your web traffic, and you should, by the way, look at your web traffic, you should go into your Google Analytics, you should see the behaviors, you should understand what devices are actually coming to your website. Chances are about 50% of your traffic comes from iOS. I don't know who you are, but like, that's typically the partners that I deal with. 80% is probably mobile. 50% of those mobiles are on iOS devices. So consider that. Consider that a lot of these people who are on iOS devices are no longer going to be able to be cookied or any of this other stuff. So it's actually kind of a serious thing. Now, before I get into UTMs, I do want to address this question. So here we go. A question I get a lot is what the cost to get my conversion. Traffic is great and all, but how much money am I making doing so? What's your take on this? I don't exactly know, but this is a good answer. So this is the key, though. How much does it cost to get a conversion? When you're running internet marketing, you need to know your KPIs, and your KPIs are your key performance indicators. So let me tell you what my key performance indicators are. My main core key performance indicator is getting people on the phone call, because that is the way that I generate revenue, and that's how I help the market. That's how I provide the most value, by people coming to my coaching program. Okay, so what I need to do is I need to understand what the cost of my coaching program is, or how much I'm going to make from that, the revenue, right? And then I back it up. Then I have to understand what I'm willing to pay for to get or book a phone call. So then I need to understand the conversion rate of those phone calls. So, sometimes people don't show up to those phone calls. Sometimes people aren't ready to, partner, or I might say, hey, I'm not going to partner with you. So you have to understand a couple key metrics in your funnel. And so basically what I have to understand is what am I going to be making from this coaching partner, right? Or what is the value that we're exchanged? It's not a one-sided thing. I got to put a lot of time into this and make sure that it's a good partnership. But then you back it up, right? You have to understand how much time, money, or energy, but right now we're talking about money. How much money is it going to cost me to get booked phone calls into or onto my calendar? And then you have to take it a step back. So how many leads do I have to get in order to book those phone calls? And then you take it another step back. Well, how many clicks do I need to get those leads? So that is the money trail. Now, here's where UTM tracking comes in really powerful. When you have Google Analytics and you have this conversion, so you see this little box on my screen, right? That's the conversion that indicates the conversion. And if you didn't know, that's what it is. So the conversion is somebody opts in, right? So I need to be able to understand where those conversions are coming from. So if I'm sending in traffic, and I love Facebook, I'm running ads on Facebook, I'm running ads on Instagram, I'm running ads on YouTube, and I'm running ads on Google Ads, like either search or display. I can actually connect all of those down to my conversion. So I can understand who is coming in from which platform and if they are converting. Then once I know that, I can just backtrack and understand how much money that I'm spending on the top of the funnel here or retargeting here, and then just follow it all the way through. So basically what you need in order to really figure out the cost to get your conversion is, let me think, 3 things. 1, you need a conversion. You need to be able to program your website to listen to the core event that is going to drive revenue for your business. You back it up. Then you're going to need an inbound click, and you're going to connect that inbound click all the way to the conversion. And then what you need is a handy dandy spreadsheet to start tracking all of your numbers and all of your metrics and understand, how much am I paying to get people into my funnel? How many people are converting? And then ultimately, does this make sense? Is the ROI there? And if it is not, then you need to stop running ads. But if there is ROI, and this is the best part, and this is why I preach paid ads, is because if there is ROI and you can connect clicks to customers, then all of a sudden you start this money printing machine, because you know that if you spend X amount to get people into your funnel and you know that they convert at this certain percentage and there's revenue left over, and you can take that revenue, that immediate revenue, and dump it right back into the top of the funnel, then that is what enables people to scale, right? That is the holy grail of internet marketing, is being able to connect all of these pieces. And that's kind of what I teach. Not that's kind of what I teach. That's absolutely what I teach. And it doesn't have to be this magical, mysterious sort of play. It's a straightforward way of thinking. And this is the way that all internet marketing is going. This is not going away. Like reading data and clicks and all this other stuff, it's not sexy. It's not a sexy live stream, but it is really sexy when your business starts to grow. When you can take that money, you can pour it into more resources, more marketing, more development, more staff, whatever it is going to be. So I hope I answered your question. I hope that I didn't go too into the weeds on all this. It was because you asked it about 7 minutes ago. But anyways, if you have a follow-up question, if I didn't address it, or if you've got something else that you kind of want to discuss, let me know. So let's move on now. Not move on, but let's just kind of stick to the program. So basically, I mentioned this thing called UTM tracking. So UTM tracking is by far one of the most important things that you can add to all of your campaigns. Now, this works for organic marketing. This works for your newsletters. This works for paid ads. This works for any link that is coming to your website. So I just got into a good partnership with somebody, a good affiliate partnership where this partner is going to be sending traffic in. They're going to get, an affiliate fee if anybody, purchases a course or goes into coaching and all of this. But what I want to do, so I'm linked on their website. And rather than them just linking to me, what I supplied to them was a UTM, meaning I want to know who is coming from your website. If you go into Google Analytics, it'll give you this information, but it will say like referral. And you really don't know too much beyond that. But if you can just bake up, cook up, I don't know, mixing metaphors here. If you can create a string called a UTM, you can give it to them, and then you can understand how those people actually perform. Do they initiate a checkout? Do they actually buy? You can connect a click to a customer in that case. And that's where UTMs are really, really fun. And when I started off this live stream, I talked about, when we were driving in traffic for this big promotion between a social media platform known for dancing, the startup, and this artist who just performed at the Super Bowl, what we did is we looked at those UTMs in real time to understand what was going on. And the best part about that is, you kind of remove guessing from the game. This internet marketing thing shouldn't be going from your gut. You should just be able to look at the data. But here's the problem. The problem is a lot of people just don't get here because they don't know how to kind of connect all of the dots. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a real quick plug for Retargeting IQ. It is a $27 mini workshop. Yes, I talk about retargeting, but I also I help you unearth and discover like what UTMs are and how to use them. That's a bonus module that I put in there because I can teach you how to retarget. I can teach you like how to do internet marketing. But one of the most powerful things that I can do is one, teach you to think about this the right way. But then the next part under that is like how to connect the dots. And that's what a lot of people are missing. So UTMs connect clicks to customers. You can use this with, if you use QR codes, you can bake in a UTM. If you send out newsletters, if you look at the link, the description and below or to the side or whatever, I'm using a short link. So you'll see my link says HACKTICS.link. It does not say HACKTICS.com. So I own the URL HACKTICS.com. But what I do is I take this long string of characters. This is a UTM. And what I do is I nest it inside like a bit.ly link. So I take this long thing and it's ugly, but it shows me a lot of information on my side. But I don't want to put that out, because, I want it to be tasteful. So I take all of that long string and just shrink it down into a short link. And then I brand it because that's always better. And then what I do is I can see that information. So who's going to come to my website from my live stream? Like I could see that in real time. I could probably do that right now, but maybe I want to be a better person than. No, I don't. I just want to check right now, actually. So that's a really cool thing about UTMs. Like I'm not relying on cookies to do this. The iOS update isn't going to affect this. So looking at my acquisitions, all traffic. So I just go into my analytics, real-time traffic source. And what I can do is I can either see the people on there right now, or I can see the people who've come in from the last minute. And so I see just one person has clicked in the last, since I started this from that link. So I think that's incredible. Here we go. So send the affiliate link to the partner. I'll sign on for, yeah, dude, I'm telling you what, like what I want to do. And I'm not here to promote this, but you should always be selling, right? You should always be selling. I'm not like shy about that. I believe in what I've made. I believe in what I've done. And so, yeah, you should definitely hop in for $27. Like it should revolutionize the way that you think about all of internet marketing. It's going to teach you how to set up your analytics, Google Tag Manager, which we're going to talk about in a second, actually, because Google Tag Manager is the way to really dive into these aggregated events. I typed in aggravated events. I think that's how most people feel. But yeah, you should hop in, and for some reason, if you hate it, I'll just give your money back. That's fine. Okay. So let's move on to the next portion. And thank you guys for just chiming in. If you have any questions, let me know. But what we're going to be talking about are retargeting pixels. 1 second. So what these pixels are, and we kind of discussed this earlier. These, the way that I like to describe pixels they are basically little software pieces in the background that are listening to what you're doing. So, for example, I'm running top of funnel traffic right now on Facebook. Top of funnel, for those of you who don't know what that means, basically it means somebody who's never heard from me before. This is a fresh, cold touch. So what I like to do when I'm using top of funnel ads is basically I like to do two things. And now that I'm saying this, two things, I think this is about the only option that you can go. But one, I like to use video. I like to use long form video, and I like to use long form copy. One of the reasons why I like to use long form video is because you can then retarget or put ads back in front of people who watch a specific amount of time on your video. So the video that I have, it's retargeting IQ promo. It's about 6 minutes long. And what I can do is I can leverage the Facebook pixel to understand these people who have watched so much of the video but haven't taken a specific action further. So they haven't. So this is where the logic comes in. Like I program my campaigns to say like, okay, who is coming in from the top of the funnel, right? Who's watching this? And if they watch this so much, but they don't click through, then I want to serve them another ad. I don't just want to serve everybody ads because that is a great way to lose your money. That is why Facebook makes so much money, because there's so many noobs running ads. Don't do it. So take a course, go to Udemy, come to me. I don't care what you're doing, but take Facebook ads anymore are so expensive. Make sure that you are doing a job, and especially if you're running ads for somebody else too. That was a quick aside. So all of these actions though on Facebook, right? Or on Instagram, when I say Facebook and Instagram, I kind of mean the same thing because they're both, the pixels used kind of across this. If somebody is watching something on Facebook or engaging with an ad on Facebook, this is not going to affect your pixel. Okay, where your pixel is going to be affected is when somebody leaves the Facebook environment and then comes to your website. Now, iOS 14 is the update here, where all of a sudden the pixel is not going to know that somebody is on your page or on this checkout. So this is kind of the real problem. This is the real thing. So if you're using if you have traffic coming in from other devices that are not on iOS, then retargeting is still going to work. And in fact, I should do a quick aside where I think, this pixels and all of these things are going to continue to update. Google's investigating a way to do retargeting without pixels. And like all of the technology is there as far as I'm concerned. It's just not probably as profitable. So these third parties don't want to dive into it. But anyways, so when somebody leaves Facebook and comes to your website, that is where a pixel is very powerful. And so, I teach people how to do both e-commerce as well as, just a traditional lead-based funnel. But I think the best way to think about this, and that's what I preach more than anything, just know how to think about this, is if somebody comes to your website and they start this shopping experience, the pixel is listening to see if they look at a product, if they add that product to your cart, if they initiate a checkout, if they then add their credit card information, and then if they purchase. And this is where like the logic really comes into play. And this is where like your absolute best marketing money will ever be spent is in retargeting like the people who've added something to their cart, added their credit card info, but for some reason they didn't buy. And then you've experienced this. So when you go back to Instagram, you go back to Facebook, all of a sudden you see that ad and you're like, oh yeah, that's what I wanted to buy. So something happened. Maybe you're just looking, maybe something, came up, and all of a sudden you don't have that ability to kind of buy, so you left, and then the internet magically shows that to you again. So that is like the real power of a pixel. So this is what I would say, like, leverage that pixel as much as possible right now. Like, because what you can do to that, there's this third component that I haven't talked about yet, and this is a lookalike audience. So a lookalike audience is probably one of the most powerful tools that a pixel can do for you. And I think this is probably going to take a hit in the future as well. So imagine if you, and again, I'm going to stick with an e-commerce store, but then I'll stick with my funnel too, because it's not necessarily e-commerce. People come to buy, but like, let's just say that it's a software, right? People come to download, or people come to sign up for a free trial, or people come to request a quote or book a call or something like that. What this pixel does on your website is you can start having it listen to the people who convert. So the people who buy from you in an e-commerce store, let's say that you want to create a lookalike audience of everybody who's bought. Like, that is a powerful audience, because all of a sudden Facebook understands, like, it can take all of these data points and say, hey, your buyers look like this. So let's go create a lookalike audience. Basically, that means like a similar sort of person who hasn't heard about you, and let's go put your ads in front of them. So all of a sudden, your top of funnel traffic gets better. It sends it into your bottom. Your bottom already has like all this retargeting and tracking system set up. And this is how like businesses grow. This is how I took a partner. This was last November. We went from 30, and this was an e-commerce partner. We were at $30,000 in November, not last year, but the year prior. And they did 212,000 in November this past year. Like, you just understand how to read the data, how to like really push into this. And that is, and then you leverage the pixel to make even better top of funnel audiences for you. So retargeting pixels, they definitely still work now. I'm going to assume that they're going to continue to work in the future, but it might look a little bit different with all of these updates. Okay, I see a couple more questions here. Great question. So basically, okay, I'm an e-commerce owner, and this doesn't matter. Well, yes, I'm not saying you don't matter. So the question is, how do you prefer to connect all of the pixels to the platform? This is kind of a lot of stuff, but basically what I want to do is, this is also going to work for lead-based funnels. So I think Google Tag Manager is the best spot to house your tracking components. The reason being, and actually we're going to get into this in the next one, into aggregated measurement events. So I like to house all of my tracking components in Google Tag Manager. That way, if you create a landing page somewhere else or a subdomain or something like that, you just literally copy paste your Google Tag Manager. All of your tracking, all of your pixels, all of those pieces are already nested into that. Now, Shopify is a little bit different, because you want to use the native integration with Google Analytics and with Facebook. The reason being is, if you are basically custom connecting these via Google Tag Manager, the pixel via Google Tag Manager to Shopify, what Shopify wants to do is it wants to send in these things called events, whether somebody added something to cart, viewed a product, purchased, all of these things down the funnel. When you integrate Shopify with Facebook directly, all of these events just map, and that is beautiful. The same thing happens with Google Analytics. You want to map these events with your Google Analytics. The reason why you want to use Google Analytics and integrate this is because then, if you're serving YouTube ads or Google ads, you create your ads based upon the events that take place in Google Analytics. I don't get into that in Retargeting IQ. I cover that in Funnel Accelerator, but Funnel Accelerator is my full course. But that's the idea. So you're trying to map these out. Now, if you have, so e-commerce actually has this done really, really well. So the problem with Shopify is it doesn't allow you to necessarily nest Google Tag Manager in there. There are ways to I don't want to say workaround, because it's not gray hat or black hat or anything like that. It's just like, there's definitely a workaround for it. I do it, and I would suggest it. So, if you have like a Twitter remarketing tag or LinkedIn or whatever, that's what I would house all in Google Tag Manager if you're on Shopify. Now, I host on Kajabi or ClickFunnels or WordPress or Squarespace. Like, if you're a lead or client customer-based business, not on the e-commerce side, I would try to host all of them in Google Tag Manager. So Google Tag Manager is like the key. And this is why I think Google Tag Manager is so powerful. So I was just setting this up for partner this morning. I like the setup. That's my favorite part. Basically, what we needed to do is they host on this website and this web platform, and I'm not going to say what it is because I don't like it. But basically, what I want to do is when somebody opts into a form, I want to redirect them to a thank you page. It's because it's on this thank you page, like that is the bottom of the funnel. You can't organically navigate there, right? And so you have this thank you page, and that's where you deploy your conversions. If somebody hits this thank you page and like, hey, this is a conversion. But this website, this web platform doesn't allow redirects because it was created in 2004. I don't know. So what I had is I had to program an event. I had to program this event. So when this form gets submitted successfully, we have to send events into Google Analytics. Well, the nice thing about using Google Tag Manager is that you can send this event to both Facebook and to Google Analytics at the same time. You have one listening device. And that's what Google Tag Manager is really good at. Is like you just start your thinking with Google Tag Manager and then send the listening, send the triggers from there. So you don't have to recreate things in Facebook, separate things. So I know I got a little bit technical there. Happy though to kind of dive into that. But that's why I like using Google Tag Managers, because basically like I don't want to recreate all of these conversions and all of these events. I want to do it in one centralized space so that if I know I need to update something, I just have one spot to go to. So that was a really good question. Okay, Mr. John, thank you for commenting, sir. Basically, as people opt out of tracking in the iOS update, that will decrease app connections and Tofu custom audiences. Can you increase? Absolutely, app connections, by the way. So if you're running an app, I think you're going to take the hardest hit with this. If you're running an e-commerce store, you're definitely going to take another hard hit. I think the people who are in the lead and client-based business, they're going to take the smallest hit. Nonetheless, it's still going to hit. And we're going to get into events here, this last part, because basically Facebook is limiting you to basically 8 events. So imagine this: if you're an app company and you want to fire an event when somebody clicks on your website, when somebody opens your app, when somebody takes an action in your app, when somebody there's a lot of events that apps want to listen to, because if I'm paying money to have an app install campaign, like I need to understand if that person actually opens the app. There's a lot of events. And so what these app developers, and again, I am not an expert, what these marketing teams are going to have to understand for apps is that you're going to really have to be limited with these events. We're going to talk about that in a second. But that was a quick aside. So, John, okay. Can you increase the size of your Tofu audience and then just be more aggressive further down the funnel with your retargeting to a lookalike audience of those who actually converted? Basically, just adjust your model and more of your spend a bit further down the funnel. So I think this is a really good, this is a really good question. So again, what I was talking about earlier, when you're on Facebook and you're taking actions on Facebook, like you're watching videos, and when I say Facebook again, and there's new people coming in and out, so I'm kind of repeating myself. When you're on Facebook, when I'm talking about Facebook, I'm also talking about Instagram here as well. So when you're on either one of these platforms, to my understanding, and my understanding is definitely limited, not just in internet marketing, but across everything. It happens when you become a dad, and your understanding just goes down more and more and more. But anyways, what I understand about this is you can still kind of have these mini retargeting systems take place on Facebook and Instagram on the apps, because they're not leaving. So Facebook still has that data. Instagram still has that data. So you're going to be a little bit more, you're actually going to set your retargeting mind, like, how do I kind of say on app retargeting? And then, if they come down through, then that's where you have to have other retargeting systems. Now, what I would say is, though, this goes all the way back to our first topic of UTMs. So what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to set different UTMs for different retarget in-app. When I say in-app, I mean like in Facebook and Instagram. You're going to have different UTM structures so that who is actually coming into the website. Because again, UTMs are not going away. These things will stick around. They're not cookies. It's link tracking. So you're going to have to get a little bit more creative with retargeting people and qualifying people probably on platform or in-app. I just need to stick with one of those. And then you're going to drive them in. And that's where you will have more retargeting. Now, what I would say is this. I think Google is going to be first to this cookieless retargeting sort of play. I think this is where you want to be, and this is why it's so important to diversify yourself. If you're only on Facebook or only on, Instagram, you need to get not off, but you also need to like broaden your horizons and, stack onto your MarTech stack or whatever it's called, in order to have this multi-channel retargeting. So I think that that's going to be a play. Now, I don't even know if I answered your question, John, but what I would say, though, is, to your question about increasing your top of funnel audience and aggressively further down the funnel with your retargeting to your lookalike audience based upon who actually converted, I think you're absolutely right. I think you're absolutely right. I think you're just going to have to set it wider at the beginning, kind of do some mini retargeting on platform. And then when they come through, you're just going to have to really rely on your analytics to make better decisions. Now, I don't know. I don't think anybody knows until like more and more and more people start to adopt this iOS 14. But I would be curious to see if Facebook, Instagram, and whoever kind of updates this whole model to do this. Now, if I didn't answer your question, just let me know. Like I said, I'm not an expert on this. Trying to be. Don't want to give you false information though. So here's this last thing. This is called aggregate events measurement. So what Facebook is pushing is this. And again, I'm going to highlight and stress, I don't know exactly what I'm talking about here. But what Apple is going to allow is essentially 8 events. So it's going to still allow these websites to do to push and pull events, but it's going to limit you to 8. And this is where I need to do some deeper research. But honestly, like I'm just not quite there yet. And again, I don't think any of this has actually taken place. Facebook is just saying, "Hey, when this goes live, or when this next phase opens, this is what we're going to use, and we think this is going to work." It's like, okay, what I think, even though I don't understand this, even though I still think this is kind of mysterious for folks, I think one important thing to note is this: people are still going to buy. People are still going to go on the internet. People still want products. So it's up to you to kind of navigate your way through this. And if you have a better understanding of like all of this, then I think you're going to be in front of your competitors. Like you don't have to be better than everybody. You just have to be better than your competitors. So this aggregated events measurement is basically you're limited to 8 events. But I think if you have a purchase event, meaning if you are an e-commerce store and somebody's actually buying, that actually takes up 4 of your events. So basically you're limited to purchase, and then maybe, somebody initiates checkout, that's 5. And then somebody adds to cart, that would be 6. Somebody views a product, and then somebody, pulls up the page view. That would be the limit of your event. So you're really kind of limited if you're an e-commerce store. Where I think you're going to take an even harder hit is these apps. So if you're an app and you're running, ads into a funnel where there's an app install at the end, I think these people are going to take the hardest hit, because basically you're just not going to be able to pull as much data and understand. So I think this is all to be discovered. But I think the good news is, people are going to figure it out, and people are going to share information, and people are going to help one another. So one thing that I should say about this this events measurement is Facebook is going to require you to do a couple things. So you just can't set this out of the gate. You have to verify your domain with Facebook in order for them to be sending events back and forth. And what I mean by this, or what I mean by that is this: like last week, I put out a quick YouTube video on how to verify your domain with Facebook. Basically, you just have to inject this text record in your DNS. Not hard, takes 2 minutes. I filmed the video. It's a 4-minute video, but it shows you how to do all of this. Doesn't take long. And so what you're going to do is you're first going to verify your domain with Facebook, because Facebook is clamping down on sending traffic to, unverified websites. It doesn't want to do that. And if you're doing that, and if you have an ad account and you're sending traffic to an unverified domain, that is a great way to, get your account shut down. So don't do that. So you're going to want to do that first. And then once you do that, then it kind of unlocks this new screen of what events do you want us to listen to? And Facebook gives you 8. And what you're going to have to do from there is you're actually going to have to prioritize them. So it's going to say, hey, which event do you want us to actually really listen to more so than the other ones? And so Obviously, if you're in e-com, that's what you're going to do. In my case, I'm probably going to have booked phone calls, course downloads, that sort of thing. But what you're going to do is you're going to really have to force yourself to think through, like, what are the events? And events could either be conversions or kind of micro conversions. And then where do you go from there? So you're going to have to, you're going to have to think. You're going to have to think through this a little bit differently. And that's where I really want to help people. Like, that's what I want to do. I want to be a thought leader in this space. And so if you have questions, if you have comments, like, obviously when people watch this after the fact, so if you have questions about any of this, feel free to still leave them in the comments and I can make a video after this. Okay. I'm going to be finishing up here. John's got another comment. Okay, these changes certainly increase the importance of having a very solid referral program or incentivized referral funnel in place to maximize the customers that you do acquire. Yeah, I think, what I kind of led off, absolutely spot on. Yeah, you should join my affiliate program. I'm joking. So what I started off this whole conversation with is this. If you want to grow, like, digital marketing is great. What I like even better is growth marketing. Are we splitting hairs? Probably. But the only way to maximize growth, specifically when it comes to digital marketing, is understanding tracking systems. So John is completely right. Like, if you're running ads, great. I hope they're working. But if you have like this referral source that is converting and producing results for you, maybe just pour into that. But the only way that you're going to know that is by setting up conversions and setting up tracking. It's really, really hard to grow if you're not tracking what you're doing. If you're spending money online, if you're putting out your time and your energy and you're not actually reporting, if you're not doing anything, you're kind of just still guessing. And that might have been fine. But what I'm going to tell you is this space is getting more and more and more technical. And the people with this technical aptitude are going to win. And that's going to be me. Right? I want to continue to just eat other digital marketers' lunch because I want to, but I'm not going to do that like in an evil way, but like what I am going to do is I'm going to outspend the competition if they're not tracking their data, if they're not doing like, so what I'm saying is tracking has never been sexy. Right? But money has been sexy and growth has been sexy. But like now I think the discussion is moving back towards tracking. We have to have these events. We have to have these systems. That needs to be a part of your vernacular. Like your team should be. So if you're a solo marketer, if you're an agency, if you're a marketing team, you need to be using terms like conversions. You need to be using terms like events. You need to be using UTMs. That's the way that businesses grow. I was telling this to my friend yesterday. Working with a partner, this was a couple years ago, but basically the key that unlocked their growth. So when I first started working, and I can't take credit for this, guys, a little bit, and I remind my friend Luke of this. So his company Cam, they spend roughly $125,000 every single month on ads. When we started working together, they were running they're spending a few $1,000s, and Facebook ads were working, but like they didn't know which ones were working and which ones weren't. And the key that really unlocked growth for them was this one simple thing. It was starting to use UTMs, and then we piped those UTMs directly into their CRM. So now they knew exactly where their customers were coming from. They knew exactly which ads, exactly which ad sets, exactly which campaigns, and that allowed them to spend more money because they knew their numbers. We talked earlier about knowing your KPIs. So if you know your KPIs and you know how much you can spend in order to acquire a customer, if the revenue's better on that other side, then you just spend more and more and more. And that's why you have businesses, like Luke, who are spending, $100,000 every single month on Facebook ads because it's practically a money printing machine at that point. So, okay. When I started off this, I didn't know I'd be talking for 50 minutes on link tracking and UTMs and pixels and all this other stuff, but I like it. And I like talking about this kind of stuff. So here's my invitation to you. If you have questions about this, I would love to dive in deeper to all of this because I have a firm belief that this is where the internet is going. This is where internet marketing is going. And, a lot of that's so punny, John. It is of the UTM most importance. That's very good. That is punny. Well done, sir. that's where this whole space is going. It's going into more technical. It's knowing your KPIs. And if you want to be on the forefront of it, I know how to teach you that. I know how to lay the groundwork for you. So this is a plug for my coaching. If you're not ready for coaching, I understand that. I have a $27 mini workshop that you can hop into. It's going to teach you exactly how to think about this, which is the most important part. It's going to show you how to leverage your pixel, how to use Google Tag Manager, how to use Google Analytics, and it's going to show you how to connect clicks to customers using UTMs. And then if I've earned your trust, you can hop into my full course where we go way beyond that and we go into multiple platforms and all of that. However, that's for another day. And then if you want to go beyond that, that's where we hop in and we do team coaching or one-on-one coaching from there. So let's print money, Jason. Let's print money. I like that. Hey, we're not the Fed. We have to go earn it, right? We have to go earn our money. We have to go do it. The more creative you get, the more money you make. Yes, I would say yes and no, right? You've got to find value. The market has to find value in what you're doing. And I think that's the key. Like if you're putting out good creative, if you are connecting that creative to your funnel so you know how that creative is performing, then I think that's spot on. But yeah, I think the money thing, obviously people like to make money and money is good, but I think what money comes from is solving people's problems, and it comes from helping people. And so if your product, if your service or whatever is helping people, then that is going to allow you to make money. If money is like the end goal, then, you're probably going to do some foolish things and just try to make money. However, if you're trying to help people and you really want to scale up your business in doing that, what I would encourage you to do is get into paid ads. There's literally no better way. I should say literally no better way because there might be, but it's really, really hard to beat. Like paid ads are just a built-in system of scale. They've got real-time information. You can connect clicks to customers. You can program them to go in front of people who take specific actions on your website. That's why I'm such a big proponent of paid ads. Yes, they cost money, but if you yield more money on the other side, is it really costing you money, right? What it's costing you is risk. So if you have a little bit of bandwidth that you can put money into a system and see if it yields you more return on the outside, then push into it, test it. But I think the best part is this. It's good to understand your data, and that's the best spot to do that. But the last thing that I would say, this plug, right? Because people want to go create a money printing machine. Do not do this on your own. I would say go to somebody. I would say I'm a pretty good resource to start with. It's a pretty small gamble to gamble $27, but what you should do is try to avoid the pitfalls. Now, why I say this, and when somebody signs up for Retargeting IQ, I have an email drip, and I kind of go through literally how Google, certain platforms are going to try to take your money by saying, "Hey, this is recommended." There's other platforms too, like a blue one with an FB and an IG that will try to do the same thing. So there's like little hacks that you need to know along the way. And the only way that you find those out is by either one, following somebody like me or a mentor or a guide or something like that, or making the mistakes, which I've done, where you either are costing your own self money or your clients money and like, oh my gosh, I'm sorry. Like there's pitfalls away. There's pitfalls along the way is kind of what I'm trying to say. And what you have to understand is these paid ad systems are literally pay to play, and mistakes cost you money. So be wise with it. This is not just an easy money printing game. It doesn't work that way. You have to have a good offer. You have to have a good system. You have to have your tracking. But what I am saying is if you're really interested in scaling and you have this keen ability to like actually dig into the data, then paid ads are a great way to go. Okay, guys, this was really fun. I hope you guys have a terrific weekend. If you found any value in this, I don't know, leave a comment, help the algorithm, boost it, share it, do something. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you. Subscribe. If you're watching on LinkedIn or Facebook or something like that, I don't know. Your slogan should be "My mistakes, your success." Yes, it should be. It's not a bad thing. So yeah, I've spent not of my own money, but my own money and clients' money. Like I've spent $500,000-$600,000 on paid ads. Like you can't do that without making mistakes. You can't do that without I don't know. I can't have a conversation without putting my foot in my mouth. How am I supposed to run ads without making mistakes? Like it just happens. I literally cooked up, I cooked up a YouTube campaign. I know how to do YouTube ads. I cooked it up. Go Algos. Hey, thank you, Jared. I appreciate that. Yeah, I cooked up I just started my retargeting IQ promo about 3 weeks ago. Cooked up a YouTube campaign. I was getting like insane amount of clicks. I was talking to my wife. I was like, babe, like, look at this. This is rock. And then I got into this, like, this is too good. This is not right. And so I went in and I messed up. I messed up my platform. Instead of only being on YouTube, it was also being on the display network, which is like Candy Crush and all of this other stuff. And like, yeah, you can't do this without, I shouldn't say that. It's very hard to not make mistakes in this. And that's the main thing that I just want to help people avoid is like, just avoid these. And I don't know, just avoid the mistakes. You're bound to make them. That's okay. Catch them quickly. Know where these platforms are trying to take your money, and know just the way to navigate them. And I do have YouTube videos on that. So, all right, guys, thank you so much. Thank you for the comments. Thank you, Jared. Thank you, John. There's a couple other people I didn't get I don't know who you are. I think you're probably joining from a group or something like that. Okay. No problem. Please provide the link to the getting started in the retargeting ads. If you there should be a link down below in this description that I'm having right now. I have nested UTMs inside of it, so I will know who is clicking and when. Right now, nope. I see some referrals coming in though, but there's a lot of people who've come directly from this, so that's a lot of fun. But Jared, if you have, if you have a question, if you can't find the link or something like that, ping me. I will send you the link, or just go to HACKTICS.com. You'll see the big button that says Retargeting IQ Mini Workshop. It's 2.5 hours. So it should take you an afternoon, but I will teach you how to build a machine. I will teach you how to build a machine that does the work for you. And hey, Dave, thank you. I appreciate that. First time watcher, maybe a second time after this. I don't know when I'll go live again. But I always do like to go live. Yeah, whatever. I don't know. I hope I provided some value other than just me helping LinkedIn and Facebook and YouTube or whatever. Like, I don't even know anymore. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in, for watching, for the comments. If you have questions, again, to those of people who are watching later, leave them in the comments below. I like to make content like this. Me making content like this helps me to dig in because, like I said, I will repeat this many times, I am not an expert. I'm trying to be an expert. Don't know if I'll ever get there. But the only way to kind of dig into this is to like analyze it, know what the market needs and know what the market wants. Try to get into the dirty, I don't know, the data and just try to dig around and understand what's going on. That's what I want to do. Like I said, this is where the market is moving. This is where all of this is moving. And I see a golden opportunity for this. So I want to teach other people how to do it. If you're running your own stuff, good, do it. All you have to be is better than your competitors, and then you're going to win. That's all you have to be, just in front of them. So, all right, guys. Anyways, I'm going to go have lunch. Going to go have lunch with my kids. It's finally a nice day here in Nebraska. It's beautiful. It's going to have a good weekend. So anyways, guys, thank you for all the comments. I hope you're well. Check out my Retargeting IQ mini workshop. You're going to find it super powerful. I think it's better than everything ever made on the internet ever. I don't know why. All right. Now I'm just getting crazy. All right. Talk to you later, guys. Thank you for watching.